didn't want to have children. It was too much stress. I wanted to focus on me. I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to be in my selfish era forever, ever, ever. Kids were expensive. Kids were consuming. I wanted to talk about motherhood. Hello everyone, como está café? I'm Jasmine, and if you are new here, my channel is all about motherhood and marriage and makeup and meals. So if you are into all of the above, definitely feel free to subscribe to my channel for more of this motivational content. Period. One of my supporters by the name of Kayla asked me a question on my community page, and I thought it was such an interesting question. So thank you so much, Kayla, for asking this question. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. There are a series of questions, right? So how did you know you were ready for motherhood? Did you have certain goals you wanted to accomplish first, or did it kind of just happen organically? Advice you would give to yourself before becoming pregnant. I thought this was a great topic for a video on motherhood, and I actually wanted to film some videos on motherhood anyway, so I figure why not film this one. Hopefully it's not super long, but if it is long, let me know. Do you like long videos? Before I even talk about motherhood, I want to talk about my origin story, right? When I was 18, I got on birth control, mainly for acne and like controlling my hormones, and also because my period was very painful. Birth control did help to make my period less painful. It definitely helped to clear the acne. I didn't have any sort of side effects in terms of like gaining weight or anything like that, but it helped in all the areas that I wanted it to help with, right? I was on birth control, I want to say from like age 18 to age 32. So that's a total of 14 years. I'm actually looking at my notes here just because I wanted to make sure all my thoughts were like concise and like getting to the point, right? I definitely did notice my change when I got on birth control. I ended up going throughout my entire 20s and my early 30s on birth control. During my 20s, I would always say that I didn't want to have children. It was too much stress. I wanted to focus on me. I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to be in my selfish era forever, ever, ever, right? Kids were expensive. Kids were consuming, right? My sister, she married and had kids in her 20s, and she would, you know, regularly ask me for help and things like that. And I love my niece and my nephew. I love them to pieces. But I remember whenever they went on vacation, oh, I so desperately wanted them to come back because I wanted to just go back home and be in my own little corner, my own little chair, just, you know, without the kids, because kids are all consuming, all demanding, all very selfish. They're designed to be that way, right? So I remember having to watch my sister's kids, watching my niece and nephew, and just, you know, waiting for my sister and her husband to come back. I love spending time with my niece and my nephew, and they love the auntie, obviously. You know, auntie is amazing. Auntie pays attention to them. Auntie takes them to the park and does all these activities with them. But it was very, very tiring. That was my prerequisite or precursor to, I want to say, motherhood, because, you know, being an aunt is kind of like being a de facto mom in a sense. Another thing is that I had friends who also didn't want children, and I think that their desires kind of influenced my decisions in a way. I hate to say that that was the case, but they made a lot of good points, right? And again, I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to not have to focus on anyone but myself. 2018, I believe, is when I completely stopped using birth control. The thing that I really didn't think about was the effects that birth control might have on my body. And the reason why I got off birth control was because of Gabrielle Union. She has had issues conceiving, and she was on birth control for a very long time. I don't know the exact pronunciation of her condition, but it's caused by the excessive estrogen in the body. And for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of estrogen in birth control. A lot of you know that I got a divorce in 2020. I ended up going to therapy and, you know, figuring out, you know, things that was going on with me. And there was a lot of addictions that I was faced with that were very tempting. And so that's why I ended up going to therapy. There were a lot of intrusive thoughts in my head during my whole journey into therapy and, you know, figuring out everything and doing my shadow work and stuff. I met Mr. Man. I fell in love, right? And around this time, I was thinking about, you know, kids. Is it even possible for me to have kids? I really haven't had any inklings in terms of like whether I was fertile or not. So what I ended up doing around 2021 was going to a fertility clinic in New York called Kind Body. I remember paying out of pocket to find out if my parts worked, right? And thankfully they did. You know, I had the normal amount of follicles and AMH and things like that. And I think the price of getting that fertility screening was like $500. $500 to get that fertility screening, all for them to tell me that I was perfectly normal, right? But I wasn't sure, you know. I'm in my mid-30s and, you know, you hear a lot of things about your eggs diminishing, you know, the older you get. Mr. Man and I were on our TTC journey, you know, the trying to conceive journey, and it was month after month after month after month after month, nothing, right? And so that's when it really hit me that maybe it's not even possible for me to have kids. Maybe all those years of being on birth control kind of hindered my ability to house a human being. It was a very sobering moment for me. I thought my time had passed, right? I thought my time had passed to have kids, and I was very hard on myself. I started thinking about this. It was easy for me to say in my 20s that I didn't want children because time was on my side, right? And I didn't really realize my true desires. When I got to my mid-30s, my mindset definitely changed when it came to having children. I remember crying constantly, alone in the bathroom, because not to say that I attached being pregnant and giving birth as a sign of womanhood or anything like that, but it was like my choice was taken away in a sense. While I did say in my past that, oh, I didn't want to have kids, it was like I had the choice to say that, you know, and being here, being in my mid-30s, me thinking that I didn't have not even the choice to say that, you know, it was just automatically, oh no, it's just not going to happen for you, you know what I mean? And that really bummed me out. And I also think that the stress of just wanting to conceive kind of hindered my ability to conceive. I want to say that after the 5th month I stopped stressing so much, you know, because it was like, all right, well, I guess it's not going to happen for me, so there's no point in me harping about it anymore. I was sad about it, and I would always think about what if, and what would my future child have looked like, you know, like I was already mourning the fact that I couldn't conceive. March of 2022, I just decided to take a pregnancy test after doing a whole bunch of detoxes the months prior, and I saw 2 lines and I was in shock. I wish I filmed the reaction, but I was just so shocked. I'm just so happy that I was able to conceive, and we have baby girl here. Now there are some things that I wish I prepared for before she got here. Number one of the things that I wish we would have worked on before she got here, specifically our credit utilization. Having good credit is important, especially if you want to eventually get a house in the future, and that's one of our major life goals. So getting our financials in order. And another thing that I wish I myself would have like prepared for, or just like set up in the right way, is my social media. I would constantly jump on and off of social media regularly, and I think that really affected my engagement and my success and my trajectory. I'm trying not to beat myself up about that too much. And in terms of like tips I would share to my younger self or share to my previous self before becoming pregnant is setting up your village. I'm talking whether it be organizing with like your family or in-laws to like help out every once in a while, or even paying for a village. I am a big proponent of paying for your village. If you don't have your family around, why not? You will lose it mentally. You will overwhelm yourself mentally, physically with taking care of a child. It's a lot.
For this village.
One baby is a lot of work. She is a handful. And I'm saying that as a married woman. So big ups to the single moms out there, because oh my God, it is not easy at all. Is it worth it? Yes. Seeing her wake up, her chunky cheeks, her smiling every time she sees me, yes, absolutely worth it. That help would be worth more than goals. I'm telling you. Having that village to come take care of the baby while you go and fill your cup is a godsend. So for those who are looking to start a family, get your village together. I am so appreciative of Mr. Man. He comes home from a long day of working and he takes baby girl for 2 hours of the day while I do whatever it is I want, and I'm very appreciative of that. Sometimes I just go in the car and I do absolutely nothing. Like, that is my form of self-care. The fact that I have the ability to do that is such a blessing, and I'm grateful. You know, it's a small win, but it is a win nonetheless. So we are coming up on 1 year since baby girl's arrival, of her being exclusively breastfed. And currently the struggles that I have: co-sleeping, night weaning, clinginess, bedtime. If you guys have any tips on night weaning, co-sleeping, bedtime, let me know, because your girl is low-key struggling. Hello, am I even, is it? Listen, I know parenting isn't like a one-size-fits-all type thing. I just wish she slept through the night. I just wish she wasn't such a light sleeper. I wish she didn't have to have the boob in her mouth every time she slept. I'm talking every time. Okay, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Another supporter asked me if I wanted more kids, and the answer to that is absolutely. I don't want baby girl being the only kid. I don't know if having 2 kids is easier than having 1 kid, but I'd like to think that having 2 kids would be easier than having just 1 kid, only because as like a first-time parent, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. You know what I mean? My goal is just to keep her alive. That is my #1 goal every day. But I think that with having a second kid, like, I would already know what to do, being that I've done it already. And not only that, having 2 kids, they'll definitely keep each other company. If baby girl had a sibling, her and her sibling would keep each other company, maybe make my life a little easier. I don't know. I don't know. But I also would love another kid, especially close in age to baby girl, because I grew up with my sister, who is 18 months older than me, 1 year and 6 months. I love the relationship that we share. I call her my oldest friend, but to be honest with you, she is my best friend. We talk every day and I love her to pieces, and she knows me. She knows my heart. She knows my soul, and I love her to pieces. So I would love to give baby girl a sibling to where she can play and just go through this journey of life together with, you know what I mean? Thank you for asking me that. And to that I say thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have any suggestions for other videos, please leave them in the comment section down below. I want to thank you all so much for watching and supporting and subscribing to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.